Yo, welcome back to the Wrestling Strength Podcast. As always, I'm your host, Coach Myers, and the Wrestling Strength Podcast is brought to you by Max Ever Muscle. For all of your supplement needs, training, when you want that swag, you go to maxevermuscle.com. All right, guys, welcome back. And I'm very pumped. I got a very special guest today. And, I've known this guy for a long time, and, I got a great relationship with him. And if I told you right off the bat that I brought in Coach Ryan today, you would probably think I'd be talking about my good friend and mentor, Tom Ryan, but not so fast. Tom is going to be on a later show. For this show, I wanted to bring some new coaching blood in. I'm bringing Tom's son, my good dear friend, Jake Ryan. What's up, Jake?
What's up, man? Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Yeah,
Glad to
man.
be here.
Dude, I'm pumped to, kind of hear what you've really been up to. I've been watching from afar. Like I told you, or like I told Corey whenever you walked in, I said, I feel like I've raised this guy since high school. You were one of my first athletes out of the Ohio RTC many years ago, which we'll get into that later. And, now to kind of see you as a, as a businessman, as a coach, as a soon-to-be father.
Yep.
I feel like I said, it's like watching one of my own kids grow up.
Yeah.
So let's
Time's flying, man.
Time's flying by big time, man. So
sure.
why don't we start with the coaching? Tell me what you got going on right now with Pursuit.
Yeah, so we got a club in Columbus. We're in Lewis Center, just a wrestling club. We have youth, we got middle school, we got high school kids, we got some college kids training with us, kind of all across the board, and we're just we got a wrestling club, and it's been a blast. We've been going for about a year now. Like I said, we're in Lewis Center. We got a huge facility. We have about 10,000 square foot facility, 3 full mats, bunch of strength and training equipment too. So we do a little bit. Not to what you guys do, that's your level, but we do a little bit of strength training on the side, but mostly wrestling stuff. So, so it's been about a year, and we got 50, 60 kids in there training with us 3 or 4 times a week, and it's just been a blast. It's been fun to get back into the sport.
And you got Bracken coaching with you, right?
Yep, so Bracken and Craig Thomas. So it's Bracken Mead, Craig Thomas, and me are the 3 coaches. And then we brought in, we got some other guys too. We got Trey Grenier, which I'm sure you know Trey.
Yeah, I know Trey.
So Trey's in there now working with us. It's kind of the 4 of us now just working, and it's been a blast.
So, I see a strong old school gym Coach Myers influence on this coaching staff. Number one, I coached all these guys in college.
Yep.
Trey was actually a high school athlete of mine when he was in 9th grade, for maybe a year or 2 ago. Yeah. And Bracken actually was originally a Pataskala kid, so he grew up around the gym, 5th, 6th grade. He was in there.
Yep.
Same smart ass he is now.
He hasn't changed a bit.
Hasn't changed a
bit, yeah.
So again, it's even, that's a cool thing too for me to see Bracken in there coaching with you guys. So
yeah, he's great. He does an amazing job. He's technically our head coach. Mm-hmm. So me and Craig kind of started the business. And then we kind of wanted the head coach. We can kind of step to the side, just kind of run the business and the admin side of it. So we knew we wanted to bring someone in, and he was like the perfect guy. He was at another club at the time, and we knew that, he kind of wanted the bigger role. And so kind of just puzzle pieces fell together, and it was perfect. And we brought him in. He's amazing. He does an amazing job with the kids.
Awesome, man. Yeah. So would you say you guys got more youth versus high school kids right now?
We have a little bit more youth than we have high school kids.
I think that's probably most clubs are like that.
For sure. Yeah, it's mostly youth, but we have some tough high school kids in there too. We got some really tough high school kids in there. Kind of just Central Ohio kids. But we get some people that drive. We got people that drive an hour, 2 hours to come train with us 2 or 3 times a week. But it's kind of, probably more youth than in this high school, but we still got, a decent amount of high school and middle school kids too.
So you think back, 10, 15 years ago, in Central Ohio, it was like Central Ohio was looked at like the kind of like weak stepbrother of, Northeast Ohio. And I would say obviously Northeast Ohio is still kind of the standard. Yeah. But Central Ohio has come a long way.
Yeah.
No doubt. I think, clubs like yours and, Palmer's and Stevers, that's really contributed to it.
For sure. And that's a reason too, is why, it was one of the many reasons we wanted to start it, is just because Central Ohio just gets beat up a little bit by, other spots in the state. So, we wanted to build up Central Ohio a little bit. I grew up here. I've trained here my whole life, basically from 6th grade. So we wanted to build up Central Ohio a little bit and get some of these kids a little tougher. So that's kind of why we wanted to start the club too, as part of it.
Yeah, that's one of the things I talk about with my guys in here in the gym. I say, even if Northeast Ohio is technically ahead in wrestling, I don't want people looking at Central Ohio kids like they're weak or not tough.
For
I
sure.
said, if you train here with me, you're going to be tough.
For sure.
You're going to be strong. You're going to be able to go out there and scrap no matter who's across from you. So
and that's what we want too. Yeah, same thing.
Yeah, so I think between what we're doing out here, what you guys are doing, what I said, some of these other elite coaches are doing, Steber and Palmer and these guys, Central Ohio's on the rise.
Yeah, for sure. No doubt. Yeah, it keeps getting better. Yeah, for sure.
So let's think about now. There's all these options for kids.
Yep.
Back in the day, there might have been like Mirons and maybe, Randy Simpson, maybe just a couple small options or whatever. There's all these elite, options for elite athletes, even from a young age here in Central Ohio. But let's talk about when you were growing up. You obviously grew up in a household with an elite of a coach as you can find. Tom Ryan's your dad.
Yeah.
But you never wrestled a lot growing up, right?
Yeah. So I wasn't super into it. I wasn't super into it until probably high school, probably my freshman year of high school. And I was okay. I wasn't great yet. Like I won states in 5th grade and like I was okay as a youth wrestler. But I came to Ohio in 6th, 7th grade, or 8th grade really too. I just really didn't do much. I kind of just wrestled on my middle school team and just didn't do much.
You weren't like traveling and doing 100
matches a year? I wasn't traveling, no. I was wrestling 10 matches a year maybe and just messing around with the middle school team. And then I stepped into high school with Mark Marinelli, and that's when I got more serious. It was with Mark, and he really got me to fall in love with the sport. And that's when so I was a little bit behind. I was a little bit behind as a freshman in high school versus some of the other kids, recruits that were bringing to Ohio State. I was definitely behind at the time, but eventually I caught up because I had a lot of opportunities to wrestle with some of the best guys, fortunately for me. I was able to train at Ohio State a lot and at the RTC, and so it was nice. I had a lot of good training partners.
I think there was like a 2 or 3 year period where you were like Logan's partner every day.
yeah.
I was like, Tom's doing this on purpose for sure.
Yeah, I got beat up a lot. It was good though. That's what you need. That's what you need for sure.
Well, let me talk to you where we're at now. My son, Jack, he's 9 years old. He's in 3rd grade.
Yep.
So he wrestled in 1st grade. Loved it. But I didn't put any pressure on him. Like, hey, we're not going to do any tournaments or anything. We'll just get some extra matches when we go to the dual meets or whatever. Last year, the COVID year, so he didn't wrestle. But I got a mat for, at home so we could scrap. And literally for the last 2 years, we're wrestling every day in the kitchen.
Yeah.
We're wrestling in the living room. Sometimes we actually go down the mat and wrestle. He's in here in the gym lifting all the time. He's shredded. He's strong. I'm thinking like, all right.
He's ripped.
He loves working out, right?
Yeah, you can tell.
Well, so we started going to some club stuff just once a week. My guy Clay Reeves was running a small group out here for him, and I'm watching him wrestle this fall, and I'm like, man, he's wrestling with kids that are bigger than him. He's moving good. He just feels like he got a good feel for it. I don't have any I don't have these fantasies of like, oh, he's going to be a D1 kid or nothing like that. But I feel like, man, like he gets it, you know. Well, guess what? Like 3 or 4 weeks ago, he decided I'm not wrestling this year.
Yeah, tough.
It's tough, right? So at first I was like, and the kicker is I've committed to coach the youth team here for Granville, and the head coach for the high school, he has a son on the team who's in 6th grade. So he's like, hey, me and you can run the team together. Your boy, my boy, when my boy's a senior, your boy's going to be a freshman. We got this whole vision for the program up here. Just kind of like how you talked about Central Ohio. We want to build up Granville wrestling. I got a bunch of Granville kids in here in the gym. So we got these grand plans. And then, Jack, who played soccer in the fall and did awesome at soccer. Now he's in love with soccer. You don't want to think about anything else.
That's tough.
All of a sudden, wrestling's not fun in the same way that soccer is. It's fun, but not really, especially if you have a bad day of practice. He had one bad day of practice. He came home and said, I'm done wrestling. So I contemplated making him wrestle because I know once we actually got into it, he would like it.
For sure.
But, he wakes up for practice the one day for the club and he's pretending he got a sore throat. He's kind of doing, and I'm like, you know what? Like, is this how I want him to feel about wrestling? I want to, he's only in 3rd grade.
For sure.
So I guess,
it's tough. It's tough. And we have the same problem. We have so many kids and I had the same problem too. When I was young, I did not like wrestling.
Right.
I did not like it until, like I said, I was in high school. I really just didn't want to do it. There was days where I would go into practice and my dad would, there was a couple times he made me go. He was really loose on me. Didn't make me do much. Wanted me to love it on my own. But there was a few times he forced me in. And I remember vividly, I would just let everybody pin me, let everybody beat me up because I was just so mad that he made me go. And so for me, it's hard. It's hard because there's so many parents that want their kids to wrestle so bad, but they're just not into it yet. And so I see it a ton now in the club where it's like, it's a hard balance of, do I make my kid do this because I know he's going to like it? I know he'll like it if he just does it. Or do I just kind of let him do it on his own and figure it out? And it's tough. It's really hard. And I think it's just dependent on the kid, right? Like I know so many teammates of mine that their parents made them wrestle when they were young. They forced them to wrestle. And then it turned out they just were really tough. And then there were some parents that, like my father, that was really lenient and just let me kind of do it on my own. And I fell in love with it too. Right. So it's tough.
My thinking is I'm worried that if I force him now at 3rd grade, it'll make him hate it.
For sure.
And he'll
sure.
resent me.
That's my opinion. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, and so I just don't want to take that chance. I know there's still probably a better chance that he'll like it.
Yeah.
But I think about now, like the way our relationship is and the way that he still likes to work out with me and do these other things. Do I really want to spend the next couple of years him like avoiding me and not wanting to do things with me? I don't want that.
Yeah.
My hope is that he kind of finds his way back to it.
Yeah.
It's not like he's not going to be around the sport. You know?
Yeah. It's gotta be fun for them at that age too. Yeah. That's all it's about. It's just having fun at that age. And for us, I see it a lot where kids come in and they're miserable and then they just don't like it. And then eventually they make friends there and now their friends are going. And so it's eventually they start to like it because their friends are going there and they're doing it as a team. And so I think it's really important too for kids to be involved with other kids while they're there, to have good friends when they're there too, because that makes them love it even more. They want to go with their friends and practice. And so that's another aspect too, is like building a community of people in a club. Like we're all so close knit now that everybody just wants to be together. So it's even the kids, all the kids want to be together, all the parents want to be together. So it's just a community now where everyone wants to be together, and that makes it more fun for the kids too.
So how do you help foster that kind of for that environment for other club coaches or whatever that like maybe feel like they haven't achieved that yet? They want that. Yeah. How do you kind of foster that to where it becomes like a tight knit family? Yeah,
that's a good question. That's a good question. So, we're just on a personal level. I don't know. We're just friends. We've become friends with the parents, become friends with the kids, and we're just open. We're just open books. And we're just so involved, and we're involved in the kids' lives. And
well, that was going to be my answer. I was going to say you got to care about more than just wrestling.
It's more than just wrestling. Yeah, it's more than just wrestling. We're involved in their lives. It's outside of, even when they're in other sports. We're like, hey, what's going on? How they doing football? How they doing? So we're just involved in their lives. It's just a deeper level, and it's just part of who we are and what we do. It's just we're involved in your life. It's not just wrestling. You're not just here to come wrestle. We're a community. And so that's what's really cool about it is, and that's what makes people fall in love with it more too. Is like. And the same thing for me in high school. I fell in love with my high school coach. Mark Marinelli was absolutely amazing. And he built a community of people that all my friends that I wrestled with in high school are my best friends today. All of them. So it's just a community of people, and that's what made it so much fun for me. That's why I fell in love with it. It's amazing. That's the best part about wrestling is the people.
Right.
It's the people. And so that's what we're trying to do is just build a community of really good people. And that's what helped kids fall in love with it, I think.
All right, so circling back to your dad.
Yeah.
I want to hear some good Tom stories. I have so many personal like Tom stories just from interacting with him over the years.
Yeah.
He's been a tremendous help to me too, and just been really impactful on my career, and then just also me as a man, as a father. But I want to hear some crazy Tom Ryan stories from when you were a kid. Was he one of those dads like, all right, if you want to slice a birthday cake, you got to do 20 push-ups.
Yeah.
I mean, what type of stuff?
Yeah, he wasn't, like I said, he wasn't super over the top with anything. He never forced me to do anything. He never, when I was younger, he made me climb a lot of ropes. Like if, I wanted to go out with my friends.
Expand on it.
Yeah, so if I wanted to go out with my friends, like, hey, Dad, I want to go hang out with my friends. Like, hey, you got to go climb 10 ropes. We had a big rope in the back. Like you're 40 foot rope. This is a huge rope.
You're saying it so nonchalant too.
Yeah.
Like go climb 10 ropes and then you can go to your friend's house.
Yeah. So that was pretty much the only thing he made us do. He made us climb ropes a lot.
I love it.
But yeah, and then a lot of times I'll try to fool him. I'll try to fool him like, hey, I did them. I go out back and I do a couple and, hey, I did all of them. And he had me convinced that there was a camera out there. So I'd come back like, hey, I did them. He's like, no, I saw the camera. And if I'm lying. And then I would go back out and do them again. So yeah, ropes were like the only thing that really he made us do. But other than that, like we had a trampoline. We were always doing something outside. So we're always super active. And he didn't make me do a ton, to be honest with you. But
I remember you being really good at rope climbs too.
Yeah, I did them. Listen, that's all I did as a kid. I bounced the trampoline and I climbed ropes. That was it. Yeah. I mean, that's all he made me do as a kid. So yeah, that's what I'm going to do with my kid.
Yeah. No, that's a really good idea.
Yeah. For sure. Yeah, but he didn't make me do a ton. Like I said, he really my biggest memories of my dad and like is just how competitive he was.
With everything, right?
Everything. Whether we're playing a game, a chess game, if we're playing chess, we're playing checkers, we're playing anything. We're playing kickball in the back. He wouldn't let us win anything. We were 6 years old and he would kill us in anything he did. Everything.
So when you're 6 years old and you're wrestling him, would he let you take him down?
No chance.
See, I let Jack take me down. Maybe that's where I've been messing up. Maybe that's why he quit. I let him take me down.
He might let me take me down. Yeah, he might. I don't really remember. We didn't wrestle a lot when we were younger.
Gotcha.
We didn't wrestle. We didn't start wrestling till we were older. But
kickball.
Oh, no chance. It would be
badminton.
It would be 40-0. It would be he would just crush us and everything. And I'm the same way. I'm so competitive. Even with kids, it's like I'm not losing. I don't care. Yeah. I don't care that you're 6. I'm not losing to you. So I'm the same way. I mean, you're just so competitive. But he's just super competitive.
Well, I got a good story about your dad from just a month or two ago.
Yeah.
That you'll love. That fits right in with that.
Yeah.
So I took your dad and a few of his wrestlers to do this fire and ice, this Wim Hof stuff.
Yep.
We do. It's my guy Brian Peters. He's like my breathing guru. He got a thing down the short north. He has this huge barrel sauna, gets up to like 200 degrees.
Yeah.
And we do this breathing protocol. We get in the ice for 3 minutes.
Oh, he told me this.
Yeah. And then you sauna for 20 minutes. He might not have told you the end of it though. So you go ice for 3, sauna for 20, and you do that back and forth 3 times.
Which is so hard.
So hard.
Yeah.
But the third time you get in the ice, the last time after you get out of the sauna, when you get out, you don't just get in the ice up to your neck. You actually hold your nose and you go under the ice.
Yep.
Now, I've done it a few times already, so I've gotten to where I'm comfortable enough with the uncomfortable feeling of being in the ice. But being under the ice is not comfortable.
Yeah.
You instinctually, you panic, right? And I still, like, the first time I did it, I maybe made it 10 seconds. Then I got up to 30. Now I'm finally to 45 seconds. I'm getting close to, like, breaking a minute.
Yeah.
And we've had, like, a couple guys, I think Colin Moore, Dylan D'Amelio, and Clay Reeves. So all 3 savages, all 3 in great shape. They're both around, like, that minute 30 mark, you know, to where, like, that's pretty long.
Yeah.
Not just to hold your breath, but also to hold your breath under ice
no
after
doubt.
you've done this whole, like, hour-long thing with the ice in the sauna or whatever. Now, your dad comes with us, and he's, like, 3 days past COVID. He just got cleared.
He was really sick.
Yeah, and he's still, like, you can tell he don't look right yet. He's kind of disheveled a little bit and just, you know, whatever. So anyway, but he's fine now. He comes and does. And the first time he gets in the ice, he's up to his he's freaking
out.
Cold. Yeah, he's freaking out. We're like, breathe, Tom, breathe. You know, you can do it.
Yeah.
Well, anyway, so we get to the last part. We get out, and now you have to get under the ice. I made it like 45 seconds. It's like my PR.
Which is long.
For me, it was. You know, I still haven't broke a minute yet.
That's long.
Colin makes it like a minute 30 or whatever. And, you know, your dad asks Brian, he's like, well, what's elite? He's like, well, the elite for, like, you know, for the, like, Lord Hamilton, these professional surfers, they do 2 minutes. So your dad says, okay. He gets in, holds his nose, he goes under, and I'm thinking, all right, he's going to, 30 seconds, he'll be back up. 30 goes by. I'm like, oh, shit, he's going to beat me.
Yeah.
45 goes by. I'm like, all right. And I'm like yelling. So you hear him like, Tom, you're almost at a minute. He makes it past a minute. The next thing you know, it's past a minute 30, past a minute 40. I'm starting to look, and I'm like, and he's not.
Is he okay? Yeah.
I'm wondering, like, did he have like a COVID attack? Like, did he pass out? Is he dead? Like,
yeah.
So finally, I grab his toe at like about a minute 45, and he just gives me a little thumbs up. I'm like, holy shit.
He's okay. Yeah.
I can't remember the exact time. It was like a minute 58 or something. Like he basically made it to 2 minutes, you know. And of course, Tom would do that, right?
That's how he is.
That's your dad.
He's so competitive. He told me he's been practicing these breathing techniques. So
he learned that day, right?
Yeah, he was practicing these breathing techniques. And he told me, he said, when I was on the ice, I can't remember how he worded it. But he goes, I thought I was in heaven. He thought he was like euphoric.
Well,
he had a euphoric like experience in the ice that like he wants to replicate it. He wants to continue to do it too.
Yeah, when he came out and he was telling us that, I looked at him, I said, yeah, Tom, I said, you're high. That's what happens. That's what happens. Yeah. It's like, it's such an endorphin release or whatever. I always explain to people like this, after we do the fire and ice, it's like being stoned, but you're not stupid.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You don't feel like you can still think clearly, but like your body, the way you feel, it's amazing. Yeah. And I feel incredible the rest of the day.
Yeah, that's how he is. He's so competitive. He wants to win on anything.
Yeah, I've made the mistake before of trying to like beat him in a bike workout.
Oh, that's a bad idea.
So I could beat him on things like running up the bleachers or something like that. But something where it's like a machine.
He's crazy.
Yeah,
He's crazy. I went over his house last night or 2 nights ago. It was 9 p.m. or 8 p.m. or something. We went over just to see my parents, and he comes downstairs in their house. He comes downstairs and he is just soaked. But he's wobbling around the house, can barely even move because he just bikes so hard. And it's like, he just doesn't stop. He doesn't stop.
Yeah.
He's just always going. He's always doing something. Yeah, he's wild. He's crazy.
I haven't met very many people that enjoy breaking themselves on a workout more than myself.
Yeah.
And he might be one of the only ones. I think that's why him and I have got along so well.
Yeah, he loves to suffer. Yeah. He loves to make himself suffer. It's crazy.
there's a
Yeah.
clarity that comes from it.
For sure. Oh, for sure.
You know.
Yeah, for sure. No doubt. Yeah. But yeah, he was interesting to grow up with for sure. He was just so intense. But I mean, the thing he did such a good job at was just separating coaching and being a father though.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like it was always father first. And I think that's maybe, and I don't want to like throw parents under the bus but I think parents struggle with that sometimes. I think
sure.
fathers struggle.
I struggle with it sometimes.
Yeah, it's hard. And it's they want to be a coach first and a father. It's just hard. And I think he did a really, really good job of being a father first. And he was always, you know, a good father first. And then if I needed help coaching, he would help me there. So, that was, yeah. So
Well, let's go deep.
Yeah.
What type of pressure did you feel then wrestling for him at Ohio State? I mean, obviously there's like so much to live up to as the coach's son. What did you feel internally?
So I would say my whole life, and maybe not when I was young. At young, you don't really know what's going on. But when I was in middle school and early high school, probably till my senior year, there was a lot of pressure. I mean, there was a lot of pressure just because I wasn't that good yet. You know, I really didn't figure out the sport yet. So as a freshman, sophomore, junior, I'm losing to kids that just in retrospect to what it turned out to be, which is not good at wrestling. And so for me, I would go home and be like, I can't believe I just lost that kid. You know, I can't. And I'm so worried about what people are thinking. I'm like, I know people are saying that I'm his son and that I'm losing to these kids that aren't good at wrestling. And so it was hard on me for a while. And there was just a lot of pressure. But I think what got me out of it there's probably two things that got me out of it. Number one was just training hard and getting better at wrestling. You know, when I built my confidence up, when you have good confidence, you're just not worried. You know, I wasn't worried about what everyone was saying once I was confident in my ability. So as a senior, you know, I start beating top kids in the country. Senior in high school, I stopped beating top kids in the country. And that's when I'm like, all right, I'm confident with who I am as a person, but also in just my wrestling. You know, I'm confident now where, you know, I don't think that, you know, I'm not worried about what people are saying anymore. You know, so that was kind of the number one thing, was just getting better at wrestling and being confident in myself. I think number two was probably just my worldview. You know, like as growing up, you know, in high school, it's like the only thing I cared about was winning in wrestling. You know, that's what was important to me in high school, is just I wanted to win. I wanted to win in wrestling, and that's kind of my whole focus. And then once I got into college and I got around other people and I got around Chet Scott and I got around Travell and you know, Jagger, I spent a lot of time with these guys as coaching. I just realized that, you know, wrestling is obviously super important in my life, but, you know, my worldview just changed. It's not everything to me. So, you know, when your worldview changes, you know, and not everything in your life is just wrestling, it's like, you know, I don't care what people think. I don't care. Right. You know, I don't care anymore what you think of me.
And I think the important thing I think for people to understand is that doesn't mean it wasn't a priority to you.
Yeah, of course.
That doesn't mean that it wasn't important to you.
Absolutely.
But it just means there's other things that are more important.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah, it wasn't my number one thing, but it was still super important. I was training twice a day every day, and I wanted to win really bad, but it wasn't the number one thing in my life. You know, I now had a fiance, or I don't know when that exactly happened, but, you know, my sophomore year, you know, I have a serious girlfriend at the time, and, you know, I'm building my faith, and there's just a lot of things that were more important to me than my wrestling. Even though I was, like you said, I wanted to win really bad, and I was super involved, and I was training really hard, but just other things mattered more. You know, my worldview changed, and so that's when the pressure kind of relieved a little bit.
Yeah, I think that's a really important point. I guess just don't tie winning and losing to your identity, like who you are as a person or who you are as a man.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people struggle with that. And once I was able to separate those, there's no pressure. Just go out there and have fun, which I still struggle. I still have nerves, but it wasn't tied to my dad.
Yeah.
It was tied to, you know, I wanted to win. So you get nervous. But yeah.
I think you can even apply that same thing to business. I feel
No
like
doubt.
it's easier to,
No doubt.
I shouldn't say, I should never use the word easy in business, but I think it's probably a better strategy in business when you don't tie, like I still want to be successful. I want to make a lot of money. I want to achieve all these things, but my identity is not tied to how much money I make.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I think it's, maybe you have a clear path to success when it's not, you haven't tied that almost like the wins and losses of business to who you are as a man.
No doubt. I think anything in life, the second you're able to separate those, and that's why wrestling is so amazing. It teaches you so many of these little things tactically that it changes the rest of your life. It changes the way I run my business. It changes the way I have my relationship, everything. It changed my whole life. And there's so many little things like that it just, it really, it changed my life. Wrestling changed my life. I mean, it's been amazing.
See, that's exactly why Jack should be wrestling this year. You've convinced me. I'm making him wrestle now.
Yeah, force him into it. Yeah,
I'm forcing him. I'm dragging him there tonight.
Yeah. No, but I mean, it's been amazing. I mean, the wrestling is, it's changed my life, really. I mean, it's been a huge, huge thing in my life. And even though I wasn't that involved in it for 3 years, I mean, I still felt so many things that I was practicing and working on just completely transferred over to my business and how was my relationship, my business, everything, just my whole life.
Well, I've always said that wrestling, one of the things that makes it so great is the impact it can have on your development as a human, as a man, whatever. I only wrestled for 3 years.
Yeah.
I wrestled 10th, 11th, and 12th. I wasn't even any good.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But just the fact that small span, maybe at a very crucial, time and development from 15 to 18 years old that I wrestled, it had a huge impact on me. So regardless of like whether I was, Logan Stieber, Jake Ryan, or Dustin Meyer, I'm still a wrestler.
For sure.
It's part of my identity, and it kind of shaped who I am as a person, my work ethic.
Yeah. And I'm sure a lot of sports are like this. I didn't really play other sports. I was kind of just in wrestling. So I'm sure that other sports are like this, but that's just why I'm a huge believer in sports. I think it's amazing. I think they're amazing. Yeah.
All right.
That's why I hope my kid wrestles. Hope he likes it.
I think my kid's going to go back to it.
Yeah.
I shouldn't even say this because I sound like a typical dad, but he's too good not to.
Yeah.
I think he's going to be, he has a chance to be good at it because he's tough. Yeah. He's just not being tough right now in the moment.
Yeah, I mean we're a year into the club, and I can tell you that there's just the parents are driving their kids out already. Right. It's like I see it in the kid's eyes. It's like he's miserable. Right. It's like I'm not going to tell a parent how to parent.
I think that it's okay to be miserable as long as you're the one that's choosing it.
Yeah, for sure. Of course.
Like when your dad's
chosen suffering.
Your dad's choosing that bike workout last night at 9 p.m.
Yeah.
It's not someone making him do it. It's different. Sure. You know what I mean?
It's different. It's love. It's love.
It's the love
for
it.
Love. Yeah.
So I guess I want him to love that. But I think it's hard when you're in third grade to love suffering.
For sure. Oh, yeah. I don't know if there's anyone that truly loves his suffering at that age, but maybe there is. Maybe there is, but yeah, it's hard to love suffering then.
Yeah.
Yeah, but yeah. But yeah. And I think, my dad too, another thing that I think he just did that was really good was just surrounding me with good people too. Like that. For me, it's just like he put so many good people in my life. It's like, so that's another thing. It's like,
well, that's it. That leads me right into my next thing I want to talk about with you.
Go ahead.
I want to talk about me and you a little bit, Jake. So, and I don't even know if I ever told you this first part, but
this is a prime example. My dad put you in my life, basically.
That's what we're going to get into. Yeah. So I actually thought I met you your senior year. Okay. At the state tournament.
Maybe.
But it turns out I didn't. And here's why. I'll tell you why. So the following year, I'm right. By this time, what year did you graduate high school?
2013.
2013. Perfect timing. So by this time, now I'm at the RTC and I'm running the RTC workouts. I don't think I was yet running the college workouts. So I'm just working with Reese and those guys first.
Yeah.
And I can remember we had a quote unquote RTC. They let me do a couple RTC lifts that preseason. That was the whole team.
Yep.
And I can remember I'm putting the team through, but there was one kid there I didn't know. And I remember looking over and he was on like the lat pull down. He kind of had this look like he was like a sad lost puppy. And I can remember asking Reese, I'm like, who's this fucking kid over there? He was like, that's Tom's son. I was like, Jake? And it was right then I realized, I'm like, wait, I guess I didn't meet Jake. I met a different kid from Intentional Liberty who I thought was you.
That's funny.
I don't remember who it was. But so in my head, whoever I thought you were was someone different. And I had no idea who you were.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, I'm like, well, number one, like, why is he here? But it seems like he's not really involved or whatever. I was like, I don't know what's going on. So I remember after that lift, might have been that day, the next week, whatever. But I remember at some point, I think at the time I was basically training Reese, and that might have been it.
Yeah, I think
because I think maybe I had been training Angel Escobedo, but he was gone.
Yeah,
I had trained Keith Gavin, but he was gone. JD Bergman was still around, but he didn't like working out with me, whatever. So it's basically just me and Reese in there grinding.
Yeah.
And your dad kind of pulled me aside. He's like, hey. He's like, my son's here. He's part of the team, but he's not part of the team.
Yeah.
What he's doing, he's going to Columbus State for a year, and then he's going to enroll so that way we can kind of space him out. We're gray shirting him, so to speak. So that way, he can kind of slide in behind Logan or whatever the plan was at that time. He said, but for the first time in, however many years, he's not really part of the team. He's an outsider. Yeah. He can't come to the college stuff. He can only come to RTC stuff. I want him to feel like he's a part of something. Can you help him?
Yeah.
And it was the first time your dad really asked me for anything. Up to this point, I'd really dealt with Lou.
Yep.
And, Reese. And like the college, I would talk to Tom every once in a while when he was in there, but we didn't really know each other yet. And I was just like, right then I saw like, all right, this is opportunity. Number one, to get to know you.
Yeah.
And number two, like, what better way for me to make an impression on head coach Tom Ryan than to help his son?
Yeah.
So I kind of brought you along. I was like, hey, do you want to start training with Reese and I? And you're like, yeah, sure. Why not? We'll lift some weights.
Yeah.
And to be fair, this was at like what Reese refers to as like the dark days. You know what I mean? Like my workouts then, I put a lot more thought in scientific reasoning into what we do now. At the time, my thinking process was, I'm going to come up with the hardest
That's what it felt like.
thing possible to make Reese and now this young Jake kid do, and just see if they die.
Yeah, that's what it felt like.
And if we don't die, then we got better. That was my only metric for improvement if we don't die. And so you start training with us that fall, and then it might have been, you know, September, October, November, a few months go by.
Yeah.
And, you know, I liked having another guy in the group.
Yeah.
It was 3 of us now. You know, and we had fun. You know, it was fun to kind of get to know you. And I think Reese liked it that I had someone else to kind of focus my, my craziness on other than just him. But so a few months go by, and then your dad sends me a message, and he said, I wrestled with my son for the first time since this summer. Last time I wrestled him, I thought I was wrestling my daughter. Now I feel like I'm wrestling a grown man.
Yeah.
He said, would you consider working with some of the other guys that are redshirting? You know, so that was really, I think, I already had my foot in the door. Yeah. But that was the one that really opened the door.
Transition,
to the actual college team. And within a year, you know, it started with you, then a couple red shirts, and then within a year I was running the college program. Yeah. And did for like the next 4 years after that. Yeah. So thanks, Jake.
Yeah.
Thanks for not being.
Yeah, I didn't do anything. I just worked with you. Yeah. It was fun, man. We had a lot of fun then. That was tons of fun.
We did. I mean, I think it felt kind of like there was a lot of ways that it felt like kind of us against the world. There was a lot of different dynamics. Sure. There was, you know, Reese and Logan in the same room who were drill partners, but also competing to make that world team spot. There was me in there trying to kind of assert influence over the college team. Yep. You were you who wasn't on the team yet and also kind of had something to prove you're the coach's son. For sure. You know, so I felt there was like a really good bond, I felt.
Yeah, it was awesome. Yeah, that was some of my best times at Ohio State. I loved that. That was so much fun. Yeah, we had a lot of good workouts, a lot of good treadmill sprints.
To this day... So I used to have this treadmill challenge.
You still do this? You still do this?
No, I don't. Okay. I've actually moved away from the treadmill.
You shouldn't anymore. You shouldn't.
No, I shouldn't. But I'll tell everyone what it is. All right. Yeah. This was the gut check hill sprint, and I still think there's some value to this. I think maybe just not in the way that we used to do it or how often we used to do it. And I'm just more of a proponent to actual running now, running on actual hills and stuff as opposed to the treadmill. I just am not as big of a fan of it as I used. But anyway, we would go on the incline at 15% at 10 miles per hour. And just get on and run as long as you can.
Till you die.
Yeah. And for some reason, even though I always thought you weren't a great runner.
No, I wasn't. A terrible runner.
Your form looked terrible. You got short legs.
Yeah, bad runner. All around.
But you, to this day, have the highest time I've ever seen on the gut check hill sprint. You were like a minute 33.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
No, I remember it was exactly that because I was a minute 32. You beat me by 1 second.
Yeah.
Now you think about the guys that you and I beat on this. I like how I'm pulling me into it. Yeah, but really, let's say you were the top of the heap here. Yeah. Bo Jordan.
Yeah, Tomasello.
Logan Stieber. Nathan Tomasello. Kyle Snyder. Yeah. Reese Humphrey. Reese Humphrey, one of the best athletes, pure athletes I've ever seen.
He was in the 120 somewhere, I think. 120.
He was 125. Yeah. He could never get that 130 mark.
Yeah.
So like none of these guys could beat you, even though you were this like stubby-legged.
It was funny because you always put it in the beginning of the workout too. We would start the workout with this sprint, and the workout is just over at that point. Yeah, I remember it was just dead. I would give everything I had to it, and then the workout was over.
Yeah, and then we would sit there and die for 10 minutes, and then we'd have to lift weights. Yeah, that was really dumb. So coaches, if you're listening, don't do that.
Yeah, I'm not telling you to not do it anymore because you shouldn't do it. I'm just telling you because I want to keep the record. I'm sure someone will beat me if you keep doing it. So.
Yeah. Honestly, I think your record is safe. Yeah. I mean, if someone's going to beat you, they're going to be a track guy.
Yeah. I'm sure a track guys.
A track guy could beat you. Yeah. I don't know. I mean, look, if that list of guys couldn't beat you, who can beat you?
That's true. Someone in track, I guess. But yeah.
But I'm talking about
hill sprints. Yeah, I was good at hill sprints. I wasn't good long distance. Yeah. I was good at hill sprints and stuff. That's why I think but. Yeah,
those guys were all good at hills. You put Mickey Jordan in the C deck. You know what I mean? Yeah. He's an animal, but he couldn't beat you on that.
Yeah, I don't know why I was good at that. I'm not sure.
I think it was. That's when I could see like your eyes glaze over and I could see Tom.
Yeah. I was hungry. I didn't want to lose that. I was hungry there for sure. No doubt.
That was all those times of your dad beating you at ping pong. Right. You know what I mean? Smashing you 60
It all came together.
It came together on the hill sprint.
Yeah, no doubt. That's funny. But yeah, no, that's a prime example of my father putting someone in my life. He's on the back end. I didn't even know he did that. That's the first time I've heard this. him coming up to you and saying that. So this is a prime example of what he does in the background. He was a father to me, but in the background, he's surrounding me and putting people in my life that I didn't even realize. And I wasn't I didn't know. I just was. They were great people.
You had no idea, and maybe even if he'd have came to you and said, "Hey, I want you to start lifting weights with this guy," you might not have been that into it.
It was very strategic. It was brilliant. And now I'm realizing it. Now that I'm stepping into coaching, I'm like, wow. And I'm just having this realization now of like, wow, I can't believe that was so smart. It was brilliant, you know. And so a lot of stuff he was doing was just really smart in the way he handled it. And that's just me personally. I just struggled with him as a coach. I just struggled with him coaching me. Like I just didn't like it.
Yeah.
It was, we just, anytime we would wrestle, it would be a fist fight. I mean, a fist fight from my end.
Right.
For him, it would just be him catching, and I was punching him. But yeah, I couldn't even. Yeah, so but that's how he was. He was very strategic about.
Well, when I think about it too, it was probably strategic in a lot of ways. He wanted to put good people in your life. Yep. He wanted you to be around Reese and I. Yeah. He also knew physically I could probably help you, but he might have also been testing me.
Yeah.
This was his litmus test.
It was both. Yeah.
You know what I mean? So from a business standpoint, so not just the father-son, the coaching, but like to see like, all right, do I really want this guy deeper into my organization? Or is he just going to be someone who's kind of an outlier who then will kind of work his way out of the system?
Yeah, that's the brilliance.
Because there's always people trying to come in and out of the woodwork down there. So I think with him, there was probably a lot of things of him being strategic to figure out, you know, what's this Coach Myers guy about?
Yeah. Yeah. And I think his biggest thing is just surrounding me with good people. Like I said, I think that, you know, even when I was in high school, I didn't realize it. I didn't realize it at the time, but my teammates in high school were just average wrestlers, right? They were average wrestlers. There were maybe state qualifiers. There's a couple of places here and there. And so my perspective on wrestling at the time was that's what I wanted to be. You know, I wanted to be a placer. I wanted to I think I can win a state title, you know? So my environment, the people that I was around was just
you were capped.
I was capped, right? And I think a lot of people are capped. So, you know, a big thing for me now is surrounding yourself with the right people is so important. Is so important. So I made the jump. I made the jump from a good wrestler to a better wrestler when I went to Ohio State, not because I started working harder, I was wrestling or training. I surrounded myself with people that were thought on a really high level. There's people that wanted to be Olympic champs. There's people that wanted to be national champs. And it opened my mind to, wow, I can do this. I can actually reach this level. And I was here before, and I'm like, I think I'm happy with this. And then I realized that there's a ceiling that's 400 feet above where I was thinking, right? These guys opened my mind. So, and it's the same thing in the business world. It's the same thing. It's like, you know, if I'm surrounding myself with people that are in real estate that have 1 or 2 properties, that's what I'm going to want to do. But the second I meet someone that's got 400, I'm like, wow, you can actually get 400 properties, you know? So it's the same thing. It's like, I just got to surround myself with the right people, you know, and anyone that I'm coaching too is like, I'm trying to put the right people in your life because you don't realize some of the things that you're capable of, some of the things that you're capable of reaching until the right people in your life, you know, and it's hard for a coach to do that. It's really hard for a coach to show you, hey, this is what's possible. I think that, you know, your best coach are your teammates. It's your drill partner, whoever you're working with are your best coaches. And so it's what he did really well is just put people in my life that were amazing, you know, and it's, you know, even when you're looking at college as a high school athlete, you're looking at where to go in college. It's like, you know, do you want to go to a program that's content with being top 20 in the country? You know, like, do you want to go to a program that's content with that? Is that what or do you want to go to a program that if you don't win, if you don't take first, we're heartbroken. We're devastated.
Right.
And that's what it is at Ohio State.
The standard is so much higher.
The standard is so high, and we hold everyone to that standard. So when you come to a university like Ohio State, that's what the standard is. You know, and so when I got there, I'm like, wow, I didn't realize. I just didn't realize. I just didn't know. I didn't know until I was really involved in the organization how serious these guys were. And that's when I got serious, you know, and that's when I started to get a lot better at wrestling is because I didn't realize you can hold yourself to a standard at that level, you know? So yeah, it was cool. It was really cool.
Well, I'm sitting here also too, just thinking about this as a parent. Think about how important it is.
Absolutely.
Who you choose as your friends growing up, who you put yourself around.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, not to even veer off course too much, but I think
this is right on course. This is,
But I mean, so many people that I grew up with or grew up around that are dead now.
Yeah.
You know, maybe they've overdosed on heroin or whatever. And they weren't bad kids growing up. They weren't bad people, but they might have ended up around the wrong people they put the wrong people in their lives.
Yeah.
Or they gravitated towards the wrong things. And I think that's true in so many senses. Like you have to be conscious. You can't just say like, well, you know, this guy's funny, I'm going to go here. Oh, you know, I want to go to this school because of this reason. Or, hey, I'm going to go to this club because of whatever. You have to really think about, And maybe this is maybe a message more so for parents, but think about who you're putting your kids around. Think about who they're spending time with. Think about who is going to have, because anyone you're around is going to have influence on you, right? You know, so whether it's the lifting coach, the club coach, whether it's, you know, the kids they hang out with on the weekends, whatever it is, I mean, you don't want to micromanage, you know, who your kids interact with or whatever. But I think even just as an individual, if you can be conscious of it, like, all right, you know, if you know, if I'm getting ready to head off to college and I'm around people that, you know, they're big, all they talk about is, and I get it, you want to have fun when you're young or whatever, but if the focus of their life each week is, I can't wait till the week's over so I can go to the bar. Yeah. You know what I mean? Then really, what are they aspiring to?
Exactly.
That doesn't mean that you can't go to the bar and you can't have fun. But if that's all you're looking forward to, then what kind of tone are you setting for the rest of your life?
No doubt. Yeah, and that's what elite people do. I mean, elite people surround themselves with other elite people. Yeah. I mean, that's one of the most important things, I think, is just surrounding yourself with elite thinking people. And that's what, you know, that's why I go to a university like Ohio State or any of these top universities. It's like, I want to be around other elite people that think elite. And it carries on the rest of my life. It's like those guys are some of my closest friends still, because the way they think, the way they thought about wrestling is the way they think about everything else in their life. You know, they wanted to be the best at everything. And so, yeah, it's all about who you surround yourself with, in my opinion. But
I think about, you know, my training partners. Basically, I get to train with all the athletes I coach, which I'm really lucky for that. But, you know, I'm 42 years old. I'm in the best shape of my life. Yeah. I'm stronger than I've ever been. You know, and you know, so people see stuff I do on Instagram or whatever, and they think like, oh man, this guy's like I'm some special athlete or something. I'm not a special athlete at all. I'm very, very, very average.
Your ass off,
But I think about who I get to train with on a regular basis. And you know, just this weekend when I saw Reese, he was asking me, he's like, all right, so you know, how does this guy stack up against you? I said, Reese, I'm the weakest guy in my training group every single day. I'm the weakest, I'm the slowest, I'm the worst athlete. On my boxing days, it's me, Antonio Pittman, Braxton Miller, Beanie Wells. When I'm lifting, it's me and Colin, my guy D-Bell, who's like a 500-pound deadlifter. You know, like I'm always the weakest. I'm always the slowest. I'm always the worst athlete.
That's the best.
It's the best. That's the best. Because I always then I always have to try hard because I want to push them. Yep. And I can't push them but from 100 feet behind.
For
you know
sure.
what I mean?
That's the best. That's how. So in high school, I was the top dog. Right? I was the best kid on the team. So it's like, I was stuck. Right? And the second I joined Ohio State, it's like, at this point, I'm the worst one on the team. Right? So it's like, there's catch up. You got to play. You're playing catch up.
And you were the worst, but then you had to wrestle with the absolute best. Yeah. One of the greatest ever every day.
Logan Stieber was my drill partner. Bo Jordan was my drill partner. Micah Jordan was like, I had no choice. I was surrounded by the best people. So I had no choice but to just get better. It was my only option. Or just get killed every day, I guess. Yeah. Which I guess some people do, but I just wanted to win. I wanted to win. And I was around elite people, and I started to think like them. Because that's what happens when you're around elite people. Yeah.
And that's where you're building a pursuit.
That's where we're building a pursuit. Yep. For sure.
It.
Yeah. That's awesome. Yeah. It's been, It's
Jake,
cool.
I'll tell you what, there's been so many good nuggets of knowledge dropped here today.
Yeah.
Now, this is the Wrestling Strength Podcast. So we don't really talk about strength training per se, but there is a couple questions I got to ask everyone that comes on. All right.
Yeah, go ahead.
So the first one.
Yeah.
All right. And because there's coaches that are watching, there's parents that are watching, they're going to be all fired up after this, and they're going to make their kid go in the basement and lift weights or something, even though they don't want to.
Yeah. What
do you feel like, whether it's a workout or an exercise or one specific thing in the weight room, whatever it is that you felt like helped you more than anything else? What's something you can really recommend that wrestlers need to do?
So I guess it depends on the age. Are we talking youth kids or just in general?
What do you think helped you? Talking about you.
I would say, honestly, I think something that helped me a lot, and it sounds crazy. I mean, in college, there was tons of things that we did that helped me a lot. But as a youth kid and as a younger kid, something that helped me a lot was just ropes, honestly.
Climbing ropes
was huge for me.
Squeezing, pulling.
Yeah, like I never felt like I stepped into a match that I felt weaker than someone from when I was young to when I was older. And I think the thing that I was always dedicated to was climbing ropes. And it's just using everything.
Because you wanted to go visit your friends.
Yeah, I wanted to go visit my friends. So I had to climb ropes. No, but yeah, I think ropes. And then another thing my dad did too, was this trampoline. Mm-hmm. Like I was always on the trampoline. My legs were so strong.
Because you're jumping for hours.
All day. That's all I was doing, jumping on the trampoline and climbing ropes. So I was doing an athletic movement. It was making me more athletic. It was making me stronger. And then I was climbing ropes all day. And so those are the two things. It's like, still to this day, my dad's like, hey, we got to get your kid a trampoline. It's like, we got to get like I'm having a kid in think 2 weeks. So
You
it's
think 2 weeks?
No, yeah, I think.
Yeah.
Well, she's getting induced a little early, so
By the time this comes out, the kid might already be here. So congratulations.
Yeah, thanks. But yeah, I mean, I think, as a youth kid, get your kid a trampoline.
I've never thought about that, but I mean,
unbelievable.
well, because so when Jack comes to the gym, we might do 10 box jumps.
Yeah.
But think how many times you get a trampoline, they might do 1,000 jumps a day.
All day. I was on there all day.
I'm getting a trampoline for Christmas.
I'm telling you. Yeah, it helped me a ton as a kid. And then ropes too. I mean,
well, I've already thought in my woods I'm going to build a tree house for Jack.
Yep.
But I'm making not a ladder, but
Yeah.
a rope. If you want to get in the tree house, you got to climb the rope.
Yeah. Just don't put. We used to put a barn. We used to slide the trampoline over to the barn and then jump off the barn. Just make sure there's nothing near they can jump off.
No, I mean,
snapped a couple ankles here and there, but
in high school, I can remember going to like this keg party, and me and my buddy Luke, we took the trampoline from this guy Mikey's house out by his pool, and it was like in the middle of the night. It was terrible. I don't know how someone didn't die, because I mean it's soaking wet.
Yeah.
Kids were drinking. Like it was just a recipe for disaster.
Yeah.
So don't do that.
But just in general, I'm a big believer in just
rope climb.
Yeah. Stuff like that is athletic. Anything that creates an athletic movement too is like the trampolines. Like, as a young kid, like when I went to Cuba, I trained in Cuba for a week with Micah Jordan and Tayshaun Campbell. I trained for a week there, and all they did was athletic movements. They would warm up for 30 minutes. It's backflips, front flips. That's all they were doing, right? And so it's pretty crazy to see the different cultures and how but I think it's so important. You see it in the wrestling now. They're so athletic.
Yeah.
They have so many athletic movements. And I think that something that we can do is get a trampoline. Like it helped me a ton. I felt, my athleticism helped me a lot in a lot of my matches. And, it wasn't just my leg strength, but also building athleticism.
A lot of it's body control.
Body control
you jump on a trampoline.
It's definitely.
If you get strong legs, but you don't have body control, you're just going to be all over the place.
No doubt. Yeah, for sure. So I'm a big believer in trampolines.
Listen,
I don't know.
Jack, if you're listening to this, we're probably getting a trampoline now.
Other people are probably saying, "Oh, you got a deadlift, you got a squat." Get a trampoline. I think trampolines. Yeah.
No, this was a great answer.
Yeah.
I knew you'd have a good answer for me.
Yeah.
All right. Now.
Yeah.
What do parents and coaches maybe? What do they need to stop doing? What's the one thing you feel like all these wrestling parents that you deal with at the club? You can give us a specific example. What do they need to quit doing?
Oh, man, that's a good question. The number one thing that parents need to stop doing, I think that, a big thing is, and I touched on this already, is I think that parents like to coach their kids before they parent their kids. So I think, and I already touched on this a little bit, but I think it's important to be a parent first, be a coach second, and put your kid in an organization where you can trust the coach so you can be a parent. Put your kids somewhere where the coach you can trust with their life. You can trust anything with that coach. You trust with them, and you can be a parent. That's what I think. I think it's really important to be in an organization. Put your kid in an organization that you can trust the coach, so you can be the actual parent and not the coach. Because I think a lot of parents get it mixed up. They want to be the coach first and the parent second, and that's when things get a little hairy. So I think that's my answer.
Jake, I'll tell you what. Number one, this has been fun.
Yeah.
It's always good for me to get to catch up with you. Like I said, I'm so proud of you, all the stuff you got going on.
Thanks.
I'm really excited for this next phase of your life, becoming a dad. You're going to be an awesome dad.
Thanks, man. I appreciate it.
But also, too, I think we might have to do this again sometime because it's so good.
Yeah, absolutely.
In the meantime, kind of go ahead and give everyone the rundown. Where can they find Pursuit? Where can they? You might even want to touch on. I know you got a million other businesses. If you want to touch on anything else, go ahead.
No, just Pursuit. I think. So Pursuit, if you want to find us on social media or anything, it's Pursuit Wrestling. PursuitWrestling.com. If you want to check out the website. We're over at, like I said, Lewis Center in Columbus. Drop-in fees like $20 if you just want to come check it out or anything. Just want to come by and check it out. It's $20. You drop in once. Pay the fee, and then you can practice with us one time. If you love it, you can join. Just PursuitWrestling.com, Pursuit Wrestling on all social media. That's about it, I think.
All right, Jake. Thanks, man. This is fun.
Thanks, man. Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.